What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another video of Best Bets with Ryan. I'm obviously Ryan. We're going to be discussing NFL Week 2, our betting recap, some of our long shot bets, and some game analysis and recaps of some of the games from Week 2. Yesterday was Sunday. It was a very profitable week for us. We did hit some big bets, some long shot bets. So we'll be discussing them first. First off, we're going to talk about the Cardinals Raiders game. We did hit the Cardinals live at 16-1. They were as high as 22-1 at one point. We didn't get them in at 22-1. We did get them at 16-1, and then we also got them later in overtime at 6-1. So we'll pull that up here. You can see we took them for 100 at plus 650, and right after we took them, they actually fumbled, and the Cardinals picked it up, ran it back for a touchdown. The game was over. So literally, we got that bet in with a few seconds to spare. We did hit them in the fourth quarter at 16-1 here. Also, this was when they were down by 8. It was a one-score game, so they just had to really score and get the 2-point conversion, and then it's kind of like a coin flip from there in overtime, and really whoever gets the ball is the favorite. So that was a nice, huge bet for us. It was a big bet. We did watch the end of that game, and Murray had some ridiculous plays. They came out flat in the beginning of the first half. They were getting crushed. There's lots of big comeback wins. Jets, Cardinals, and the Dolphins. But Murray made some just ridiculous plays at the end, getting out of sacks, scrambling around for like an hour, and just making plays. So kind of a tough loss for the Raiders there. But we felt there was value. The odds were just too good on that site compared to others, so we went with that. And another big bet we took pre-game, we did hit Rashard Perriman first TD score at 35-1. And we took him anytime TD at plus 750. So you see here, we hit both of those big for 540, 212, another 85. So a solid bet there. At least about $800. So the first one with the Cardinals was about 800. This one's about 800. So two solid big bets. The reason why we did take it was the odds were just way higher than other sites, and the thing with the Bucks was that their whole receiving core was banged up. Lots of injuries. They were either out or injured. So I think Evans played. Like he was okay, but Godwin was out. Julio I think was out, and everyone else was Gage was like questionable. Like lots of just questionable. Or they were just out of the game. So Perriman was a guy that would have to fill in. And, looking back into the week before that, all of Perriman's targets were deep shots and end zone targets. So that's obviously good for a touchdown scorer bet. Even going into last year when they utilized him, it was just deep shots to the end zone. He's like a deep threat. You don't really do much else for him. And, but we felt that 35-1 was value and 750 was value. And they didn't really score. That was the only touchdown, at least in the beginning. It was tied. It was a low scoring game. There was no touchdowns until like the fourth quarter. So big hit for us there. And the other long shot bet we did hit was the Buffalo Bills defense next TD score. It was late in the game. We took him. It was the 6th touchdown score, so 65-1. A small bet. We only put 5 on it, but we hit for $330 there. So another long shot. So lots of long shot bets this week. I feel like the odds were just too good. This is also special teams. It could be defense or special teams. So they return a punt, kickoff, or just a pick six, which is what it was. They almost had a pick six again after that, I think. So the Bills defense is obviously really good. So that was also our other big bet that we hit. We obviously, won lots of other bets that we just can't really discuss. We're not going to go over every single one of them because we do lots of betting. We did actually hit another middle bet in the Packers-Vikings game where we had the Vikings covering 17.5, but then we had the Packers covering 16.5. Let me see if I can find that one while I'm looking. I'll get into that later, but so they had to win by 17. Our middle bets have been kind of slacking a little bit, but we hit them at key numbers. They were up by 17 at the time, I think it was. So, and they ended up, winning by 17. So Packers covered the 16.5, and then the Vikings covered the 17.5. So that was for also another few hundred. So overall, like a solid betting weekend. Probably hit for. I haven't added everything up, but it was probably close to around 2,000. So, but we did. There was some bets that we lost, and we hit the FanDuel boost as well with Aaron Jones scoring a touchdown and the Packers covering 6.5, which they did. So, but we did lose some of the boosts and some of the other bets that we took. We did have, I don't, normally place pregame money line bets. I did have the Steelers plus 130. I just felt like there was value there, and there was so much talk on Twitter and about teams that play on the road and win in overtime, they're like crappy against straight up or against the spread the following week, and all these stats and stuff that, like, I don't know how much that even matters. Like, sometimes obviously stats and trends matter, but like in the stats about Belichick is 12-4 against the Steelers straight up. Yeah, back when they had Tom Brady, the GOAT quarterback, and their team is just like awful this year. Probably their worst team I think he's had, probably ever. So I just didn't feel like there was any value in taking the Patriots minus like 150 or whatever that ended up at. People were arguing that, but no matter, like, if you hit a bet, it doesn't matter what the end result is. Like, if you're not getting the good odds and you win the bet, it doesn't make it a good bet. And I feel like, other people were running simulations saying, oh, well, the Steelers would win this game 52% of the time. So, like, if it's a coin flip there and I'm getting plus money, plus 130, it wasn't even like plus 105, it was plus 130. If I'm getting that in the Steelers, like, I'm taking it. I know Watt was banged up, but they did beat the Bengals before the week before, who won the we were in the Super Bowl last week. Obviously, the Bengals aren't looking that great, but the Patriots. I mean, again, in that game, the key play was Mac Jones threw the ball right to the Steelers defender. It was Sutton who dropped the ball, and the very next play when they punted, he muffed it and they got a touchdown. So that was like almost a 7 to 14 point swing. They ended up winning by 3. So that game could have go either way. I think if you bet the Patriots 100 times, if they played 100 times, you bet them at minus 150 100 times. I don't think you're profiting long term. So that was just one bet that we lost. We also had Brady over 0.5 rushing yards, and he ended up with not getting that. He mentioned in an interview that the week before that he had negative rushing yards, and he said, I don't like to see that. So I thought maybe he was due for one of his QB sneaks, or one of his scrambles. He's not, but he just needed to do that once, and he couldn't do it. So that was just based on like what he said. He ended up taking a knee in the first half, which kind of screwed us. But, so some other, again, like the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Dolphins, all with huge comeback wins. Like, it was just a crazy weekend for NFL. A little bit about the Jets game from what I saw, too, because I didn't watch a lot of it, but from what looking over it, I think the Browns actually technically could have just run the clock out when they were up 7. There's a minute 55 left. Jets had no timeouts, and then they ended up scoring a touchdown, which, okay, they're like, yeah, score a touchdown. They're by 13. The game's probably over. They're like a 99.9% favorite to win or whatever. But you're 100%, favorite to win if you just run the clock out. Like, don't score a touchdown. With a minute 55 and no timeouts, there's technically not enough time on the clock to get the ball back, no matter what. There's a 40-second, play clock in the NFL. So if you add all that up, given the amount of downs, like, you just literally can't get the ball back. You could probably just take a few seconds off, take a knee 3 times, and the game's over. But that's just like coaching again. That's what it comes down to, coaching. So that was, just like a really bad loss for them and for the Browns, and a really bad loss for the Ravens as well. I mean, they were cruising. We liked the Dolphins this year. That was one of our Super Bowl bets at 40-1, and hey, they look good. I mean, they look good. The Bills and Eagles both won. Bills crushed the Titans. That's our Super Bowl pick. That's who we have 4 bets on for the Super Bowl to win. We really like them. I just think they're like a heavy favorite now. The Eagles did look good. I mean, they're a complete team more now. with their secondary too, with Bradbury and Slay, and then having AJ Brown and Smith and Hurts improving. The rush defense improved that. Again, it's week 2. We did actually, I didn't want to take him, but I ended up getting him at 16-1 to win a Super Bowl bet, just as like a hedge. Because the NFC is just like wide open. Like it's really wide open across the board, but I think the NFC specifically, there's like really no dominant teams. And the other game Thursday night was Chiefs Chargers, which was a good for a Thursday night game. It was on Prime Video. We want it back on cable, so there's minimal delay, so it helps with our live betting. But we had the Chargers and the DK promo. So DraftKings, if you bet the Chargers and they went up 7 and then lose, they still pay you out. They pay you out just because they went up 7. Once they go up 7, you win. So we bet the Chargers money line. They went up 7, so they paid us out, even though they lost the game. They paid us out, and Chargers was one of our other Super Bowl picks and bets. But there was another 14-point swing. Herbert threw a pick 6 in their end zone. I think Everett ran a shitty route, or he was tired and he's asking to come out, and then he ran a route. I guess the route wasn't well. Chiefs took it back for a pick 6, 14-point swing. The Chiefs, I think the Chargers were really controlling that game pretty much the whole game. Mahomes and the Chiefs week 1 against that Cardinals team, it was like really, there was maybe a little bit of an overreaction. They faced an actual good team, and the Chargers, they struggled a little bit. They won the game, but I still think the Chargers are better overall. They have offense and defense, like Bosa, Mac, and then their offense, where the Chiefs, I think, lack on defense, and I think they're gonna run into some problems maybe right now. But I think the Chargers, obviously beat them at home. I think they're just overall better. I know, Herbert cracked his bruised rib. He ended up he couldn't even. He was it was 3rd and 1. He couldn't even scramble for the first down. He ran and just threw the ball away. I was like, oh geez. But then the next play bombs a touchdown. So with bruised ribs. So who knows? They haven't accomplished anything yet, but I'm hoping to see them go far. And then our Giants pulled out a win. 2-0. They pulled it out. Usually they're on the other side of those losses, really, but they're pulling out wins. It's not crazy exciting. It's pretty ugly, but they're doing it. Jones, not looking great at all times. He did capitalize at the end and make plays when he needed to, but they got turnovers and didn't really capitalize too much on that. So, but hey, we'll take it. I don't, Barkley still is Barkley, and Jones has to improve a little bit. I don't know, his upside or how well we'll do long term with him. It's not looking crazy good, but we'll see. So, that pretty much wraps up this week. Again, solid week. We're looking to, get into next week. If you have any questions or want to subscribe, to me, I run a subscription. I run a Facebook group. The Facebook group chat's free, but if you want to subscribe, you can message me about costs and things like that if you want to look to start betting and winning, because we win, every week pretty much that we bet, and long term we win. So hit me up for that, and please, if you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out, so please subscribe, share it, comment on the video, any comments, suggestions, whatever, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, take care.